They say Rome never feared gods, it became one. But beneath marble columns and triumphal arches, some secrets were kept not to honor the gods, but to contain them. In the winter of 214 AD, a pale sun hung above the temple of Vesta, casting long, trembling shadows across the marble. Inside, 6 Vestal Virgins knelt in silence, surrounded by sacred flame, their faces veiled, untouched by time or sin. They were the guardians of Rome's divine fire, sworn to 30 years of chastity, silence, and ritual purity. One of them was Caelia Lucilla. Barely 17, born of a patrician family, handpicked by the Pontifex Maximus. She carried her silence like armor, her duties like prayer. But behind her dark eyes flickered something the gods didn't favor: curiosity. Late one evening, as a thunderstorm fractured the skies above Aventine Hill, Caelia heard whispers. Not from the streets, not from her sisters, but from beneath the temple floor. The underground chamber, sealed for centuries, was said to be the resting place of a disgraced Vestal, a woman who had broken her vow and been buried alive, as Roman law demanded. Her name was erased from records, her memory struck from marble. But the whispers bore her name like incense in the wind. Valeria. Caelia couldn't sleep. That night, she lit a single oil lamp and descended into the crypt, hidden beneath a loose slab behind the altar. What she found wasn't just bones. A sealed urn. A scroll etched in dried blood. A silver dagger placed precisely where a heart should have been. The scroll was barely legible, but one line pulsed through the dust: blood given without a willing soul must call the fire to consume Rome. She didn't know what it meant. Not yet. But as she turned to leave, her oil lamp sputtered, then died. The flame of Vesta, still burning above, extinguished itself at that exact moment. The city woke to panic. No fire. No warmth. No omen worse than the sacred flame going dark. By dawn, one of the other Vestals was found dead. Her body contorted in fear. Her veins blackened as though scorched from within. No fire had touched her skin. Rome whispered. The Senate questioned. The Pontifex trembled. Caelia said nothing. Because that night, her hand still smelled faintly of ash and blood. The death of a Vestal Virgin was not a misfortune, it was a prophecy. Whispers spread through Rome like plague, that the gods had turned their eyes away. That the eternal city was no longer blessed. But inside the house of the Vestals, the whispers were colder, more personal. Each sister looked to the other not with grief, but suspicion. And Caelia began waking to strange marks on her arms, circular burns, faint but growing darker each day, as though something branded her in sleep. She still hid the scroll beneath her robes. Still dreamt of the blood-etched words. And each time she prayed, she felt it watching her, the dagger. The dagger she had hidden beneath her bedding, its silver turning dull, its edge whispering in her mind. Days passed. Then another sister died. Her body was found near the forum, eyes wide open, mouth filled with ash. No sign of struggle. No trace of poison. Just a trail of faint black footprints leading away, disappearing at the steps of the Temple of Saturn. The Senate called for purification. Goats were sacrificed. Smoke rose from the altars, but the sacred flame refused to reignite. The emperor was informed. Marcus Aurelius Antoninus, known to history as Caracalla, returned from his campaigns to a Rome smothered in fear. He ordered the tomb beneath the temple of Vesta sealed once more. Priests poured molten wax into the cracks. But Caelia knew it was too late. The curse had been spoken. The blood had been stirred. She was the only one who had touched the scroll. The only one who had seen the urn tremble. The only one who had kept the dagger, though something inside her told her it had never belonged to her. One night, unable to endure the silence, she confessed to the oldest Vestal, Domitia Prisca. The old woman listened without a word, her face pale, her hands trembling. Then she took Caelia's chin in her hand and whispered, "It's not the curse of broken vows, child. It's the curse of silent justice." Domitia told her the forbidden tale of Valeria, the last Vestal executed. Framed by senators for refusing a secret rite. Forced into a ritual she never chose. Offered as a sacrifice not to Vesta but to the greed of Rome's inner circle. The blood on that scroll was Valeria's. Her soul hadn't passed to the underworld. It had lingered, beneath the ashes, beneath the silence, beneath centuries of lies. And now, it had found a voice again. That same night, Domitia died in her sleep. Peacefully, it seemed. But her body burned from within, her heart turned to black stone. Celia didn't cry. She packed the scroll, took the dagger, and fled into the streets before dawn. She knew what she had to do. She had to finish what Valeria had begun. The streets of Rome were soaked in dread. A haze of illness lingered. The sacred flame still would not burn, and the omens grew darker, blood in the Tiber, black birds nesting atop the Colosseum, a statue of Jupiter weeping salt. But Celia felt none of it. She walked through the night like a shadow draped in ivory, unseen, untouched, determined. The scroll pulsed in her robe as if alive. The dagger grew heavier in her hand. She wasn't going to the temple. She was going to where the city kept its secrets, beneath the Forum, into the forgotten catacombs where Rome buried its shame. Only a few remembered the entrances. Even fewer survived entering. The air thickened as she descended, torchlight trembling. Murals of long-erased rituals stared from the walls, images of Vestals offering not bread or wine, but blood and bone. A different Vesta, older and crueler, stared back. She found the burial chamber where Valeria's remains had been sealed. Her urn sat shattered on the altar, dried blood crusting the floor, bones scattered in sacred disarray. Atop them, a circle of wax figures, burnt from the inside like something had risen through them. And in the center, a second scroll. This one was not written in Latin, nor Greek, but in a script Celia's eyes did not know, and yet her mind understood. The words were not read, they were absorbed, like wounds taking an infection. It was a summoning. Not of demons. Not of gods. But of memory. Of all the women buried unjustly beneath empires built on lies. Their names long erased, their justice never carved in stone. Their screams whispered through centuries. Celia bled her hand with the dagger. She let her blood fall where Valeria's had once spilled. And with shaking breath, she read the incantation aloud. Nothing happened at first. Then the walls breathed. Whispers, hundreds, then thousands of voices filled the chamber, Vestal voices, angry and raw, chanting her name. Celia. 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 Flame burst from the dagger's hilt and raced across the floor in a spiral. The bones ignited, not with fire, but with light, cold, golden, eternal. Above her, the temple shook. Statues cracked. And far above, for the first time in weeks, the sacred flame reappeared, burning violently in the sky itself. But it wasn't Vesta's flame. It was Valeria's vengeance. At dawn, the city woke to silence. No pigeons. No merchants. Just awe. The temple of Vesta lay in ruins. In its place, a pillar of black marble had risen, inscribed with words no one claimed to write, "The blood you silenced returns in fire." No one ever saw Celia again. Some said she became flame itself, a spirit walking among the embers. Others said the scrolls she left behind were locked away beneath the Vatican, never to be read again. But every 50 years, on the day of Valeria's death, the flame at the heart of Rome flickers, turns crimson, and burns in silence for 1 hour. Some say it's just a coincidence. Others remember the curse. And those who know the story never say her name out loud.